Welcome to 2025. I was in Japan for about a week and a bit. Went skiing and do all kinds of stuff that we normally do in Japan. Basically, ski, snowboard, eat, and hang out with friends. I know some of you have already seen some of these sketches from my Facebook or Instagram, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do a sketchbook walkthrough and also just tell you a little bit of my thoughts. I think when you look at the first sketch where I ate the noodles in Japan, it's not just the taste, which is really good because they put a lot of attention to the details, but it's also the presentation, the way they lay it out, and also the whole sort of look and feel of the presentation of the noodle. So it looks really good. We got a decent start to our holiday, but we woke up a little bit late. Our train was 8 something, and then we were kind of rushing because all of us snoozed through our alarms, and we ended up rushing to get on this train, which got us to Hakuba, which is on the northern part of the main island of Japan. So when we got into Hakuba, it was very jam-packed because they run this snow train during the winter season. Skiers and snowboarders will go on this train, limited express they call it. You get into Hakuba, and then there'll be lots of people. That's what happened to us. We were trying to get a taxi, and it's impossible because the queue was just too long. So we decided to go look for lunch. So right after lunch, we checked in. Although it was very early to get our lodging, Nick, the proprietor of our lodge, was very nice, allowed us to dump our bag, and then it was a short walk to get our skiing gears. Here you see boots, skiing boots. The ski boots are very hard, and I prefer the snowboards boots, which are a little bit softer, easier to walk, and more comfortable. And after that, we went for a walkabout in Hakuba town. It's changed quite a bit. We used to go to Hakuba once a year for about 6-7 years. I don't know, before COVID. So it's been about 4 or 5 years since we last visited Hakuba. Many of the shops has shuttered for good. Some has been refreshed. I don't know, maybe some of the shops are same owner. It's just that they needed to spruce it up after COVID as the crowd's coming back. And it's lovely to see that some of the old places are still around. And then there's all kinds of food trucks littered around Hakuba. There were spots, almost like camping sites, out in the open, even though it's very, very cold, but they have tables out there, and you could see their folks just getting a bite. I would say about 30-40% of those food trucks were serving Western food, which is not something that we will go for. Things like pizza, but I guess it's easier to serve those out from the food truck. But lovely to see. I mean, I sketched this because I thought it's kind of interesting memory. There were no food trucks in our prior visits. This is a novelty of sort. Then we went to a cafe called Head Cafe. Head as in like the tennis racket brand. It's interesting because I didn't know that Head makes ski gears. Obviously they do, because the cafe is associated with this brand. It was lovely hang out there because they have a mascot, a dog. If you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you'll read about my comment about the dog, Connie, I think that's her name. Most of the convenience store sells liquor and alcohol. There's no exception. We do like the plum wine, the choya. We like the sake. In this case, the blue bottle is actually a bubbly sake, and it's lovely. Alcohol is about 4+%, I think. But all in all, Japan is very accessible with alcohol. And I'm not encouraging you to drink too much. Drink a little bit, but overall, Japan has a very produced very, very nice sake and whiskey and so on. I do like that. On our first night, we were a little bit careless, or I guess forgetful that Japan requires a lot of reservation. We walked into a few restaurants and were promptly rejected because they were full. There was one that's even full for the whole seasons. In other words, they are not taking any booking for the rest of the year. So we ended up at this beer bar called Koke Momo, and we thoroughly enjoyed the local brew, Japan's brew that is, they didn't brew it themselves, that shop, but they take it from Japan. Well, not all of it. They also have the Australian microbrewery, I think, but they were all very, very nice. One of the things I have regularly is half-boiled eggs in the mornings, and that's what I made myself. We bought some eggs night before, and then we just, well, I woke up first in the morning, first to wake, and then I made myself coffee, which is a drip coffee. Japan's very famous for that. The drip coffee, you can get them in packs, and then you just drip them with all the sort of paper set up, like almost origami style. And then, I made myself half-boiled eggs, very simple to do. 8 minutes in, hot water. That gets me the soft, fluffy eggs that I like. The next day, we went to the slope. It was nice to be back. It was a little bit icy on the first day. The weather forecast shows that it's gonna, major big dump of snow in the next few days. So first day was a bit icy, but we managed to do a bit of, skiing and snowboarding. I snowboard for the last few seasons. I started skiing and I started with skiing, and now I'm getting used to snowboarding. But it was very difficult getting back after about 5 years of break, simply because my balancing and all that was just not to scratch, and I fell quite a few times. Fortunately, no major injury, except bruises to my ego, I suppose. One of the things that I remember very fondly is to have my lunch, either up on the slope or at the bottom of the slope, where they have very simple Spartan type, mostly either Japanese or Western. I mean, you get burger and you get like rice with curry and so on. So I always opt for the Japanese curry, which is a very simple fare. There's really no frills. You don't get sides. Basically, a dump of curry, a pile of rice, and a piece of something. That's it. And then, of course, after the run in the dinner, we get our proper dinner and so on. In this case, we were not having an easy night either. The second night, we were again a bit adventurous, didn't make our reservation, and we walk around, and again we were rejected by many of the shops in Ecoland. But finally we found one, and we popped in, and this is a plate of sashimi, which is typical of Japanese fare. Raw food, basically, well prepared, carved out nicely, and excellent, very, very delicious, with a little bit of wasabi. Yum. The other thing I really appreciate about Hakuba and Japan's snow sports setup in general is the idea of very frequent bus runs. Well, frequent as in every hour, so you get one at 8, 9, 10, and then on the return leg you get 12, 3, 4, 5. It's enough for a good half day or 1 day of sports pursuit, if you like. And it's very efficient. They do run it very, very well, and so I really enjoy that part of it. On the third day, the third night that is, we got really smart. We booked and reserved a very nice place for dinner, and that's Wagyu Kobeya. It's you really can't eat too much of it. It's really fattening, but the marbles and the marbling on the meat, and when you barbecue it very lightly, medium rare style, you get a piece of meat that melts in your mouth. It is that good. On the third day of my snowboarding, I experienced a little gracious giving. A gentleman basically was at the ticket booth when I went to get my ticket recharged. He offered me his tickets and handed it to me, and I used it for the remaining 2 or 3 hours, and I had extra runs with it. It was really lovely to see simple gestures that touch your heart. It's not a lot of money, but it's just people being nice. And I think we just need a little bit of nicety around, spread some joy and love, and be nice, and the world will be a better place for it. One of the things that is memorable for me for this trip, on the last day of my snowboarding, I managed to do 2 things, which was my objective at the beginning of the trip. One was to go down the red slope. Well, in Japan, it's green, which is the easiest, red, which is intermediate, and black, which is the hardest. and rate you will get something like 45-degree inclination downward, with piles of snow everywhere, and you kind of have to navigate around it a little bit. And I wanted to do switch riding. In snowboarding, you would go one way. In other words, you will have either your left or your right shoulder in front. And so I'm goofy. So in other words, well, it's not my term, but it's snowboarder's term. Goofy meaning I put my left foot forward when I ride. So my right shoulder is at the bottom of the hill, and that's how I go down. Riding switch means I have to turn around and get my left shoulder down on the hill, at the bottom of the hill, and riding it that way. And I managed to do that on my last day, so I really enjoyed hitting a new achievement, so to speak. And hopefully next season when I come back, I would be able to ride switch again and maybe improve on it. Yeah, and to celebrate our successful season, 4 days of snow play, 2 of us on snowboards, and 2 of us on skis, we decided to celebrate with a good food, and that's at Izakaya Cars. It's right next to one of the hotel that we've been before, and so it's a bit familiar. But again, using Uber and taxis to get around was not much of a trouble. Except at one point we didn't have data line and we couldn't get our Uber, so the hotel reception had to help us with a taxi, call up a taxi, and we got ourselves back home, back to our lodge safely. All in all, Hakuba was pretty much covered in snow everywhere in town. It's cold. It was something like -3 or -4. But on the last day when we were leaving Hakuba, it was closer to 1 degree Celsius. But again, it's all snow covered. The roof was all white, and it was very nice to see an all white winter. Yeah, then we got into Tokyo, and the next day, that was a Saturday, the Urban Sketches Tokyo, Kendra Morgenstern, put a note on my Facebook, invited me to sketch with the Urban Sketches Tokyo, which I did, and we went to the Jojoji Temple. It was full of people because it's a festival of some sort, and I really enjoyed my time sketching with these folks. It's always nice to have kindred spirits, people who really enjoy each other's company, sketching away. But it was just too cold. My hand was frozen. I haven't sketched in the cold for a long time, and it was really my fingers were not taking it too well. So I had to kind of like mess up some part, but just finish it up. But again, I really enjoyed my time sketching with the Urban Sketches Tokyo. So a big shout out to Kendra. And after sketching with the Urban Sketches Tokyo, Kendra took some of us to the American Club, and we had burgers. It was one of the best burgers I've had. Really, really yummy burger. So again, a shout out to the American Club in Tokyo. Funny thing is that it's right next to the Russian embassy, overlooking it, and I don't know, maybe friends should stay closer, but your enemy even closer than friends, that is. And on Saturday night, we went for a walkabout in Shinjuku and some nearby areas. I spotted this on one of the window, in one of the shop. I don't think it's a statue that people worship, but I was told that it could be a god of fortune or some sort. Big belly, with a sack of gold and a baker's to count the gold. I suppose it is affiliated with some sort of deity. Maybe not, but I still like statue. As you know, I sketch a lot of these stuff in all my sketches. And then on Sunday morning, I met up with a friend from Evolve. Evolve is my dojo or my gym where I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. Shintaro has gone back to Japan, and so we met up along with Elvin, who is also in town. 3 of us was having coffee and having a update and catch up about what's going on in the world of martial art as well as each other's life. Interesting to catch up outside of the dojo. This is a sketch from Shinjuku, where the penguin seems to be a mascot of the area, and I sketched it from photograph. It was again too cold for me to do that, but I really like all these little statues. Put a little bit of colors, mark it in my sketchbook, and note down my thoughts in my journal. And yeah, that's a good thing to do, don't you think? this is the last sketch. It's part of my walkabout in Shinjuku on the last day, just a couple of hours before we leave Tokyo on the Sunday. And yeah, and a bit of a simple sketch. Tiffany shopfront, that is. I hope you enjoyed this sketchbook walkthrough. I finished my sketchbook, which I really, I was very glad. And I think I might do a publication on Japan in ink or something like that. Tell my story a little bit more, expanded version of it, so to speak. So I'll be traveling again. Tomorrow I'm off to Malaysia, Johor, with a bunch of sketches. Again, there'll be plenty of sketching, come my way, and I'm hoping to share more stories on my Facebook, on my Instagram, and YouTube. So meanwhile, you guys take care and stay safe wherever you are. Bye.